Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. I have a very special guest for you today. I have a real estate professional out of Dayton, Ohio. Let's welcome Greg Wimberly to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I always love talking to new guests about what's going on in the real estate world. But Greg, why don't you introduce my audience to who is Greg, what you do, where you're at, how long you've been doing it, and we'll dive in from there.
Yeah. So I'm out of Ohio. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, but I moved to Dayton when I went to college here at University of Dayton. So I've been here for, man, it's going on 20 years now.
Wow.
So it's getting close to that. But yeah, man, I'm a real estate professional. Like you said, I don't like to box myself in.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things that, I do because I'm a real estate agent. As well as an investor where I'm doing flips as well as buying holds. And also and we'll get into it a little bit more, but my first real estate investment property is a property I actually lived in. So it's a live in flip.
There you go. I love those. I mean, those are great. You live in them for a couple of years, you get the tax benefits, all that good stuff. Greg, can you tilt your camera down just a little bit?
Yeah, I was just going to do that.
There you go.
I was just going to do that. I was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of cut off here. So
yeah, you're a good looking man. We got to get your whole face in the picture.
Hey, so. I didn't know if you wanted to just see a little bit of me, home improvement style. You know what I mean?
It fits like this.
Yeah. Like, who is that guy? I don't see his teeth.
Yeah. All the young people are like, what are they talking about? They don't even know what it is. So this is going to be a fun conversation. So one thing I want to make sure I understand is, do you do all of your real estate investing in the Dayton, Ohio area?
Yeah. For right now, that's where I'm looking at is, it's a great market. I think that with Dayton, it was kind of a sleeping giant in a way. So right now we're starting to wake up a lot. So for a minute, obviously back in 2008, we had the crash and, foreclosures and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And Dayton felt it harder than I think a lot of other cities and states did. Mm-hmm. But now there's so many other things that's going on in Dayton, mm-hmm. With, revitalization of different areas in Dayton that I'm just happy to be a part of.
Yeah. Well, I will do this again at the end, but just in case I forget, because there's a lot of people that watch this channel that are interested in investing in Ohio. So how would you like them to get a hold of you? Because I know some of them are going to watch this interview and go, I like this guy. I want to see if he can help me. So how do you want them to do that?
Sure. I have a social media. I usually do a lot of stuff through Facebook. Mm-hmm. So it's Greg Wimberly. You can look me up on Facebook, but also Instagram, and then also my email address.
Sure.
I have a couple, but the easiest one is gregory.wimberly2385@gmail.com.
Very cool.
For whatever reason, there's another Gregory.Wimberly out there, so I had to add a couple numbers to it.
There you go. Well, we'll do that again at the end. I really do expect a lot of people thinking about Ohio to be reaching out to you. So, you know what? Let's go back to the beginning. So, I always talk about that first deal, and this one was a live-in flip, which again, folks, I think is a great way to take advantage of our tax system. If you don't know, if you live in your primary home for greater than 2 years or 2 out of the last 5 years, you as a single individual can write off or don't pay taxes on the first 250 grand in appreciation. Married couples, 500. So live-in flips should be a way lots of people get on the property ladder. So tell us about this first one, when it happened. Tell us about it. Tell us the exciting story.
Yeah, it happened, probably a year out of college. So
last year.
Yeah, right. I wish, but it's always like, man, if I had to do it again, I would do things, a lot differently. But I tell you what, I learned a lot from my experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm. So when I first started, I didn't know anything about real estate, just like most of us. It's like, I see real estate. I think it's something that you can easily feel, and, you can see it. But I didn't really know the ins and outs of it. I just knew I wanted a great deal.
Right.
That was it.
So was this pre-bubble or after bubble? Just so I can get a time frame. It's like 04, 05, or when was this?
So this was 09.
Okay. So I would call that after the crash, or at least the crash had started.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And in Dayton, it was pretty much a lot of houses were very low.
Okay.
A lot of foreclosures, a lot of short sales, things like that. So
I remember those times. It was rough.
Yeah. So it was like, picking whatever. If I knew more, I probably got more properties, but I was just trying to get a nice house in a decent neighborhood. So, the first thing that I always thought about is, hey, I want to get a nice house in a good neighborhood. I don't want to necessarily get the biggest house. I don't want to get the worst house, but something in the middle. Sure. So I bought a property. It was a foreclosure. And I said, hey, I think I can start, getting into renovating this. I don't know anything about renovating houses, but I think I can learn. I can get on YouTube University or what have you and figure it out. But thankfully, I was able to have mentors like my sister and my brother-in-law, Keisha and Ryan Ruff in Toledo, Ohio. Obviously you're familiar with them.
Sure.
So they were able to mentor me through the process of that, then also my future endeavors.
That's awesome. So let's get to, I always like learning about 09 was a special time. I bought a lot in 2010 in my market. What did you remember what the house cost?
That was 137.
Okay. 137.
So that gets you a 1,800 square foot house.
Okay.
4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a finished basement. It was kind of finished. I had to do some things to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a really great deal. And in Ohio, obviously, you're in California, correct?
Yep.
So a lot different. $137,000 probably gets you like a cardboard box or something like that.
Yeah. You may get a partial cardboard box. So, okay. 137 grand, 09. What did you end up putting into it because I'm sure the remodel was, you were living in it. So it was multiple stages. How much did you put in the remodel?
Yeah, I would say over the time period, I probably put about 30 grand into it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it was much different from a standard homeowner. I would think initially, I probably spent a little bit more. I probably spent like my first 10 grand the first few months. But after that, it kind of bottomed out a little bit. And so I kind of spread it out. I put it on the market after 5 years. Obviously, I wanted to wait until I can, not feel the brunt of that capital gains tax and whatnot.
For sure.
So I put it on the market after 5 years and didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I wanted. So I decided to stay in it.
There you go.
And then, I'm very choosy. I'm very patient with anything that I do investment wise.
Very cool.
So some people will say like, hey, you need to get in there. You got to jump in the pool feet first. I like to test the water. I want to make sure that, hey, I'm not in the 10-foot side. I'm in the 5-foot side. So,
there you go.
Yeah. So I'm a very observant to what I'm doing. But then when the opportunity comes, I definitely take advantage of it. So that following year, there was opportunity to sell. And I did. And the next step was doing the same thing. So the house that I'm in currently is another flip that I'm living in.
I think that's I've talked about this many times, getting on the property ladder any way you can. I think live-in flips are great because again, you got to live somewhere.
Exactly.
Some people choose to house hack, right? Rent rooms or all of that. The other thing you could do is you go into a fixer, right? You don't have to fix it all day one. You can fix it over 2 years because you got to be in it for the IRS at least 2 years. So that's just another way. I mean, in theory, you could do it every 4 or 5 times a decade. And
I think the only drawback to that is, during my first flip was we had kids.
We
it
gets a lot harder with kids.
Exactly. But we had I think when we moved, we were 2 years. My kids were 2 years old. I have twins, by the way, 2 twin girls. So
nice.
Very, very blessed, but at the same time, very stressed sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're playing man-to-man defense right now, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm undermanned. I need to get another boy, but I don't know. I might have another set of twins, so we'll see.
There you go.
Getting back to moving from one flip to the next is one of those things like, hey, I'm moving my family and I'm moving to another neighborhood or maybe even move to another city. Thankfully, I found a house that was literally 5 minutes from the house I was staying in. So I was able to keep my kids in the same school district and not have much of a transition there. So
let's paint the vision of this one. So you list it, don't get what you want. You are a wise conservative investor. You pull it off. You list it again, sell it next year. Cause you were into it about, if I'm doing my math right, about 170. What'd you end up selling it for? Roughly.
I ended up selling for, how'd you come up with that number?
Well, it was 137 plus 30 grand. And then I just rounded up.
Okay. Yeah. I sold it for 175.
All right. So you got all your money back plus a little.
Yep.
And then you just moved that, like you sold one, bought one. It's just, or did you have a gap between the first living and the second one?
No, there was no gap. It was straight moving into the next one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When during this process did you get your real estate license?
I got my real estate license when 3 years ago. So in the house that I'm currently in.
Okay.
So at that time, and it was funny because the reason why I got my real estate license was mainly because of my wife, because she was like, hey, you're so into this real estate thing. I had a real estate agent that didn't really kind of like, do a whole lot, but she gave me, opportunity to look at houses and everything. But I was doing a lot of the work.
Right.
I was looking at the houses. I was finding them. I was meeting her at the properties. I understood real estate at the time. So I thought it was a no brainer to get my real estate license after my wife said, hey, this is something you need to do.
Yeah. Wives are very smart. That's awesome. So I'm curious.
She's smarter than me. So
mine is too. Don't worry. I think it's a trend. So when you look at what are you doing now? If we fast forward to business now, I have your brother-in-law sent me a video of you doing a flip. You were in the middle of the flip showing it. So what's your business look like today? Yeah.
So, and to give you a little bit of background,
sure.
I'm a project manager. I've been a project manager for 12 years. Recently went independent as a project manager. So I kind of do freelancing, starting my own company as well with in Dayton with another group of very talented individuals in Dayton as well. So we're working on that, but I'm a construction guy commercially, but now I'm kind of transitioning to residential. So two separate monsters, but it's a monster I kind of know, right? So the flip that I'm doing now, I take that into account. Like, hey, there's a time frame that we have to meet. And the great thing is I'm doing the flip with someone that is very knowledgeable in the nuts and bolts and the day-to-day action of it, which is my brother-in-law.
Oh, nice.
And I strive to basically kind of follow his lead when it comes to a lot of the ins and outs of construction, day to day. But I kind of look at it from 5,000 feet. I'm looking at the budget, looking at the timeline. I'm always following the market. I'm doing CMAs probably every week to make sure that when we list our property, we're listing it at a good price, but not necessarily a price that is too low or way high.
Yeah. So I always like talking about deals, right? So again, we'll that was on Instagram. Was that where the video I saw was? Was that
Facebook?
Video? Oh, it was on Facebook.
Yeah, I did a Facebook Live.
There you go.
I'll do a Facebook Live every few weeks just to kind of show people what I'm doing.
I love it when people walk through flips and talk about what's going on. That was a great video. I just forgot where I saw it. So on Facebook. So what did you end up buying that property for?
So I bought that property for $63,000.
Wow.
So, and it was interesting because the property was up for $79,000. And obviously we're doing some negotiation there. We're talking about the roof. We're talking about, different things that needs to happen.
So was it on the MLS?
It was on the MLS. It was interesting because usually when you get these properties, it's a foreclosure, but it wasn't. It was just someone that didn't take good care of the property, and they knew that they had to get out of a situation where they need to sell it. So we put a little bit of pressure on them and got it for a really good price at $63,000.
I'm glad I asked that, because again, a lot of people today say you can't find stuff on the MLS. So again, you saw a property in the MLS listed for 79. After some negotiation, you got it for 63. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Yeehaw!
We were under contract at, I believe, 68.
Okay.
But after inspection, we were able to get it down to 63.
Yeah. So again, folks, you don't have to go over asking. All of you are offering 20K over asking. You don't have to do that. So now you're into the flip. How long do you think the project's going to be? Is this a 60-day, 90-day project? What do you think?
Well, we were looking at first we were thinking it would be like an 8-week project, but now we're probably at a 12-week.
Okay. What happened? Just job, did the scope change, or was it a scheduling problem?
I would say that it's a little bit of both. Okay. I mean, there's some scope change, and then some scheduling. It's obviously the summer, so we're going on vacation, and it was stuff that was already scheduled before. But we're working around it. No big deal. I think that it's going very well right now, and obviously with Ryan on my side, I think that we'll be just fine.
There you go. So you're looking to your plan right now is to list probably what, late August, early September?
No, I want to list by the end of July.
Ah, there we go. Okay, yeah. So that's
I would definitely do that. And I was kind of kicking around the idea of we're substantially complete.
Okay.
Maybe like 95% complete, and there's some other things that we need to do. Waiting on windows or something like that. I can still list it and let them know that, hey, this will be complete at closing. Yep. No ifs, ands, or buts. But at this point, I think people are just wanting to get into properties. They want to get into houses. So I think they'll be okay with that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. So that's what I want to talk about next. Why don't you tell us just how nuts or hot the Dayton area is? Because I see it from California, so I'm only reading what people put in the press, but Ohio in general just seems to be on fire right now.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of out-of-state investors coming into Ohio. I'm actually dealing with a couple myself, which sometimes makes it a little difficult because, people out of California are like, what, $63,000? What?
Yeah.
That's easy. Yeah. That's easy money right there.
Yeah. That's less than my Tesla. That's what they say.
Yeah. But there's a difference because like I was telling you, I do buy and holds as well. When you're doing flips, regardless of how expensive something is, the value of the property is the value of the property. After renovation, I don't care if it's 63,000 or 163,000, you still have to understand your market.
Right.
So it is very hot. Ohio and Dayton in general is very hot because there's a lot of things that they're doing. They got a lot of government funding, the opportunity zones. I think the whole west side of Dayton is an opportunity zone for the most part. So there's a lot of money that's being poured into the city of Dayton because for so long there was nothing happening. Right. Now it's just a overflow of a lot of money being poured in.
Yeah. If you were going to talk to an out-of-state investor and give them one or two pieces of advice, what would you tell them? Because again, I think there's a lot of, and I call it California dumb money. So that's my word, not yours.
Yeah.
My word, not yours. I'm here, so I know. But a lot of them see 63K, and like you said, they get infatuated with cheap or what they perceive as cheap, right? In Dayton, the house is worth 63. It's worth 63. Right. It's not cheap.
Right.
So what are a couple pieces of advice you would tell a out-of-state investor when they call you up and they want to talk Dayton?
Yeah. The first thing, what I do with out-of-state investors and really investors in the city of Dayton as well, I will pull up a map. I'll pull up the map of properties that are online that are listed. Yep. And I'll show them that, hey, this is a pocket that is a great flip area because there's a lot of appreciation there. Right. I'll show them another pocket that, hey, this is a great buy and hold area because, there's a lot of duplexes or quads or what have you. Right. So I show these people, where the market is, but also understand how much this property it costs. And then I run a CMA for them on an example of, if it's a flip that they're looking for, or if it's a buy and hold that they're looking for, I'll run a CMA in that area so they can get an idea of that market.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think out-of-state investors need are trusted boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. And for me, oftentimes it really comes down to, are you going to tell me where not to invest? Right. I'm sure there are spots in Dayton that's like, don't go there. Right. I mean, I'm guessing, I have no idea.
As a real estate agent, I cannot do that, but
well, no, yeah, I meant like as a buy and hold, right?
But I can tell you the positives, not necessarily the negatives. I'll tell you that hey, this area is not appreciating like this other area.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
As investors, I think that you can come to the conclusion and let, and I'll try to lead them in the right direction.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
As a good investor, but yeah, I want to steer them away from, hey, don't
No.
go in here because hey, there's a lot of crime and there's like some things that I try to stay away from.
Yeah, you can't do. I think they call it steering, if I remember.
Steering.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. That's bad.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Yep.
Good job. You passed your test.
You got me. You almost got me.
That wasn't my intention. Intention. But no, I mean, in general, and again, you talk Dayton, I talk Fresno. There are some areas that are great buy and hold. There are some great areas that are great flips. And then there are other areas like the return's just not there, right? It's not a safe place to be for whatever reason.
Right.
I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I think Dayton is on the come up. What do you know what the average median home price is in Dayton today? Just roughly? Is it like 212, 220?
I don't know offhand. I wish I should have looked that one up, but
that's okay.
I don't know offhand right now. I just know that when it comes to a lot of the properties that I'm seeing in the city of Dayton, because there's a lot of suburbs around Dayton, but in the city of Dayton, a lot of properties are probably around between 70 and 90,000.
Okay.
You will see once you get in certain areas, you will get 150 to even up to 200, maybe 250.
Okay.
But those are few and far in between.
Okay.
And then there are some cheap properties that, in Dayton that there's just, it just has not gotten to that point where people are pouring money into that. But so I would say in the $70,000 to $100,000 range is.
All right. So we'll split the difference. We'll call it 85. I think it's the middle of 70 to 100. What would that get you? Would that get you like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath built in the 1950s kind of thing?
Yeah, I would say about that. Yeah, I would say pretty much you hit the nail on the head on that one.
All right. And then what would rent be? Like $950, $1050, something like that?
No. I would say rent. I would say you can get rent maybe like $750, $800, which is not bad. No. It's not bad because there are properties that you're getting rent for $500.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about 75 grand purchase price is that is now lendable by banks, right? Most banks, financial institutions have a floor, and the purchase price is 75 grand. Some of them have bumped it up recently to 100. But 75 was pretty consistent because there was a time in Dayton where you really couldn't get bank money, right? Yeah. When the average was 50K or 60K, banks won't do those loans. They're too small given Dodd-Frank, right?
Right. Yeah. And now, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that, there are some leeway because of, the city of Dayton, even areas in Ohio that $75,000 threshold is sometimes unattainable just because of things being a lot more cheap.
Okay.
So there is some wiggle room there as well, but you're right. That $75,000 is right there.
Yeah. And again, I think what happens when you get to that number, I had some investors in Michigan years ago. They had to buy cash because they were buying, 15, 20, 25K houses. And what they saw is once the prices got up to 75 grand, it actually accelerated from there because again, like 60%, 70% of the buyers are owner occupied. They can't buy the 40K house because they don't have the cash. But once they can save up, an 80K house at 3.5% down, $3,000, right? So that it what I saw interesting, at least in Michigan, is once you got to that kind of number, 80K, you actually have another couple of good year run because owner ocs can get financing. It's a weird thing. The market becomes lendable, if you will. So what is going on in Dayton? Is it really hot investor, really hot owner occ, no inventory increasing? What's going on today? What are you seeing?
Yeah, inventory, and just like everywhere else, is very low. You're starting to see a little bit of an increase. Single family is a little bit more available than some of these duplexes and quads. For a while, once that thing hit the market, a duplex or a fourplex, it was gone that day, that day. So single family, if there's some renovation work it'll stay on the market for a few days. But even if it's a really, really good property that is already renovated, it will be gone that day as well. So you got to kind of pick your battles. But I've noticed that in my lane, I've been seeing properties that need some renovation work, and I'm able to take advantage of it from doing a flip.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, and I have two different properties. I have a duplex, and then also I have a condo that I'm renting out. The condo I bought cash, and the duplex I financed. But I'm always looking at appreciation. You know, my brother-in-law, we were having this conversation of, you know, do you look at cash flow? Do you look at appreciation?
Okay.
I like to look at both, but I think that appreciation is a little bit more important to me when it comes to at least the city of Dayton, because I know the expectation, I know where the market is going.
All right.
So I want to make sure I have cash flow, and I have a certain number that I want to make sure I hit. But I'm also looking at appreciation, where I know that, hey, this house could be worth $100,000 more in the next 4 to 5 years.
Wow. That's some healthy appreciation, another extra 100K. So you see Dayton really having a good 4 or 5 year run is what I think you're telling me.
Yeah. And mainly, and just to give you a little bit of background, there's a street called Salem. And Salem has a 5-year construction plan.
Okay.
Doing they're investing, I think, upwards of $2 million a year in road construction, lighting, bikeways, things like that. And then those things kind of branch off, as you know, when you got a main street that they're doing a lot of renovation to, different companies are going into it, different businesses. And then, the streets that are off those streets are going to eventually come up as well. So I'm very strategic about getting into those markets, and I'm seeing how the appreciation is happening every month in those areas. So I'm just doing my projections, and I see that it's going to continue going that way.
So Greg, when you look out 5 to 10 years in your business, what do you hope to happen? Do you think you've increased your buy and holds from 3 units to 10? What is your vision for let's call it the next decade? Do you think that way? Do you have a plan kind of?
Yeah, I have a plan. And I go back and forth with this with my wife. Sometimes it was like, man, we need 60 doors or 100 doors, whatever it is. But I don't think like that per se. Okay. I want to look at what my cash flow is.
Yeah.
If I have a goal that I want to meet of, having $2,000 of cash flow for that year, I don't really care how many doors I get. I mean, if it's 8 doors, that's great.
Yeah.
As long as I hit my cash flow, goal, that's great.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So, why try to push the doors where I can make sure I'm looking at cash flow?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. So many people get wrapped around the social media flexing angle of I have 10 doors or 50 doors or 100 doors. That don't mean nothing. You could have 100 doors and lose your ass. That means nothing to me. Exactly. Right. Tell me your net cash flow. Right. And I love that. Believe me, if I can get to my cash flow goal with 5 doors, I'd have 5 doors. I mean, that's the right way to think, I think.
Yep. So right now, and I'm just getting into the buy and hold game. I want to obviously continue to go that route. The reason why is because I had a 9-to-5. I don't have a 9-to-5 anymore. But it wasn't by choice. I actually got laid off from my job I was there for, 12 years as a project manager. But I got laid off during COVID.
Yeah.
So thankfully I'm still a real estate agent. I still understand how to invest. So I just decided to pour more of my, efforts into real estate investing. So I got duplexes. I'm able to, do flips. And I don't necessarily do flips just because I want to do flips. I want to do flips to get access to capital, to get more assets. Yeah. So that's kind of my thinking.
Yeah. You do flips to build what I call chunk money. Chunk money turns into assets, right? The whole idea is to make enough money during the days that you have excess so you can buy assets pay for lifestyle. And that's just the circle of life, if you will.
Yep. Yep. So, but
That's
it
awesome.
is my income right now too, which is, along with real estate, that's my income, but also I'm always looking at buying assets, so that I don't necessarily have to work as hard.
There you go. There you go. Well, I know a lot of people out there are going to be very excited to hear what you have to say about Dayton, Ohio. Folks, if you're in the market, talk to a guy that's been there 20 years. He's doing deals. He's know what's going on. How do you want them to reach out to you if somebody wants to buy or potentially buy in Dayton?
Yeah. Obviously I have my phone number. I don't know if people give out their phone number.
Some people do. It's up to you.
But I would say that to start off with is easy to email me.
Yep.
Like we said, I gave my email address.
Why don't you give your email address one more time?
It's Gregory. That's GREGORY .Wimberly WIMBERLY 2385 @gmail.
There you go. There you go. Well, this has been a lot of fun, man. Congratulations. Keep doing those lives. I like them. It's always fun to walk through projects. Any kind of closing thoughts for new investors?
There's a couple of things, and I'm glad you mentioned the new investors. That's kind of my initiative for new investors. I really like helping out people that just don't know about how to do things. Like I think that so many times people think to really earn money, you have to work extra. You got to work extra hours. You got to put 80 hours in a week and things like that. But that's not necessarily true. But it's my responsibility. I feel like it's my purpose to really, show some of these young people or even young investors that there's other ways.
Yeah.
So I actually have a platform that I started that is really teaching just that. So I'm really excited about that. But I would say for new investors, pick and choose your battles. If you think that the battle is too hard for you, then either do one or two things: find a mentor that can show you how to do certain things, or go to the next one. Like, you never want to jump into something that's going to put you underwater.
Yeah, there's always another deal.
What's that?
There's always another deal.
There's always another deal. I had an investor a new investor that's looking at a property, and there was a lot of water damage in the basement. And he just said, you know what, I don't think I can handle that. And I told him, hey, that's true. I know you're doing it all on your own. So there's other opportunities out there.
Next one.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't go in and especially today, inventory is low. People are losing out. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because it won't end well.
Yeah, exactly. You never want to just jump in and like, man, you know what, that real estate investment thing, I just couldn't handle it. But it's because you didn't start off on the right foot.
Yes,
like I was saying before with the pool thing, you jumped head first and you're in a 10-foot pool of water.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
you
great,
didn't have
man.
any life vests or anything.
That's right. That's right. This is always fun, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for giving us some time this Sunday morning.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.